Alex Jones Show.
Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
To show the sick amount of influence that the kleptocratic dictatorship of Saudi Arabia, the royal family, has over this country, it was a big controversy that the First Lady, Michelle Obama, didn't cover her face when she met with the royal family that Obama constantly bows down to. Is that not truly sickening, ladies and gentlemen? That's the type of stories coming up today. We also have the federal government coming out and warning of the Internet of Things and calling for safeguards for the, quote, smart grid that has been engineered at a global level for at least 30 years on record to track and control and tax everything we do. The Internet of Things and the smart grid is the carbon tax micromanagement kill grid. In fact, I'm going to get to that, but I forgot the story from yesterday that came out at the end of the show. Will you guys reprint me Watson's article? And I want to have it reposted at the front of Infowars.com because it broke at about 1:30 and got no attention. I think that's the worst time to break a story, is around that time. I mean, we just break them as they come out. Announced by the British government, they're going to take control of your car, basically remote control it, tax it, track it, reduce the power you have, just like they've announced smart meters are already, controlling your thermostat and gouging you. This is all being announced, just like the new smart light bulbs are going to interface with your television and other appliances, and it began 2 weeks ago. Suddenly, people are noticing that it's taking place. The news is like, isn't it fun? And the company's just getting data. Why, the television, the new smart TV, interfaces with your light bulbs and sends info back to the company. I'm going to say that again. The televisions, without asking, is interfacing with the light bulbs. You think all this just happened by accident? That's more ridiculous than the purist evolutionists that believe that cells form by their own. That's like saying a fine wristwatch formed in the middle of the desert with sand blowing together for enough time. That's the old cliched answer. I don't believe in what the mainline preachers extrapolate out of the Bible either. So I don't believe in what they're saying and their interpretation, and I don't believe the other religionists with their, I came from a chimpanzee, when all the top genetic engineers say that's clearly not what's going on. There's giant leaps in development. We're talking just suddenly whole new species, okay? We were engineered, and you can debate all day long who did the engineering. Most elite scientists, and I've read New York Times articles, London Guardian articles here on air, who were atheists are now not atheists. They believe in seeding from space. And my piece that's got millions of views on YouTube from the Nightly News years ago, Secrets of Prometheus Revealed, gets into that. And so when you see a movie like Prometheus, this is a Noah Bible story from the Illuminati. This is what they really believe happened. Panspermia, meaning all, meaning seed, is the hypothesis that life exists throughout the universe, distributed by microasteroids, comets, planetoids, and also spacecraft in the form of unintended contamination by microorganisms. No, it's not unintended. So I'm not going there. I'm a Christian. That's where I stand. But if you sit there and you just think that all this just appeared out of nowhere, you really are stupid. I mean, something's wrong with you. And that's what the evolutionists say. They say amino acids in hot water created cells. The most primitive cell is thousands of times, conservatively, more complex than a fine Swiss wristwatch. A fine Swiss wristwatch, a timepiece. All right, look, we've got huge news off the chart coming up. It was Buckley Hammond that discovered this. Paul Watson's done a report on it. And I was sitting here. Well, I'll tell you when we get back. We have John Draper joining us, the first and probably greatest hacker of all time, known as Captain Crunch. He rarely does interviews. He is a listener of the broadcast, as a lot of eccentric people are. And we're going to be honored to have him to talk about everything from the Sony hack to the NSA to all of these reporters and people being persecuted and put in prison for reporting on WikiLeaks. He was somebody thrown in prison for exposing what was happening in the Nixon administration. He was somebody able to hack into the telephones directly into the White House, just using common sense, but also he could train himself to whistle the tones, which the CIA and FBI did not even believe he could do. And then, of course, he was put in a government facility for years, basically working for him during his prison sentence, doing all sorts of clandestine operations. So he's going to be joining us, the one, the only Captain Crunch, here on the transmission. You know, it's kind of like I had Al Jorgensen of Ministry, you know, who is a top, you could say top 15 rock star. I wouldn't say even top 10, maybe top 10. And sometimes he's been one of the top guys in the country. I like the lyrics of the music. I think he said a lot of really interesting things over the years. Obviously, at this point, he's kind of like the crazy uncle in the attic, but aren't we all? And sure, he gets up on air and acts wild and crazy because he is wild and crazy. And a minority of people said, man, what are you doing having somebody like this on your show? Well, I like real people and eccentrics. It doesn't mean that I endorse everything they believe or stand for. But I don't like these fake executives in Congress and these fake executives in the British Parliament who are all uptight on the surface and who are molesting little boys and girls at night. I'm sick of the most corrupt people on their high horse. And to steal a line from Apocalypse Now, Colonel Kurtz is explaining why he's so sick of the system. He goes, you know, we kill hundreds of thousands of people, and we drop fiery napalm death on villages, but then they court-martial our airmen for putting cuss words on the sides of their airplanes. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. People freak out about the cuss words on the side of an airplane, but they don't care. If the veterans, we now know for a year, this is already going on, we told you here over and over again. I'm not bragging, we just know the paradigm. We know what we're talking about. We got the enemy's MO. We got them dead, got their number. That they were putting troops on death lists to not give them care. They got plenty of money. They got plenty of services. They want to set the precedent to kill people and raise taxes. All these idiot socialists think, you know, well, we're killing people to save money. We're collecting. No, you're not. You're not even a collectivist honeybee model. Or when a bee's lived out its usefulness, it's programmed to stop eating and just to go die. That's not even what's going on here. That's bad enough. We're not honeybees. We're not collectivist hive insects. But people don't get upset about that. Let me tell you, folks ask how I know the things I know and how so many times I can just call something instantly by just looking at it. It's because I just know who the players are. I know what their plays are. I know what their operations are, and they don't really change their tricks. They just do different permutations of the same tricks. And a lot of globalists are on records, you know, saying, why do you do the same operations over and over again? Because they work. There's an old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And we are beating them at many levels in the info war, so they've been changing up and doing some tricks on that front. There's a lot of new stuff going on, but when it comes to screw jobs, they run a couple dozen different tricks. And if the public ever learned those tricks and ever learned the agenda of creating crisis destabilization and then the establishment posing as the saviors to gain more power and control and then to start the next crisis, always consolidating power, always waging war against independence, if people understood that, their power would be greatly diminished and probably broken. Now, we've got a lot of news coming up and a lot of key intel. But before I get into any of that, I want to cover our top story. And I don't usually do this, but today I'm going to walk you through my thought processes as I saw this story develop. Davos economist, elite are afraid of Ferguson-style riots. Wealth inequity threatens to spur civil unrest. Now, I saw this story this morning. And then when I read that it was Robert Johnson at Davos, the official economist of Davos, which is basically Bilderberg Public, I instantly knew that their answer would be 90 to 100 trillion. Al Gore says 90 trillion. The other Davos says 100 trillion. You can pull those headlines up going back 5 years ago. They just keep saying the same thing every year. To, quote, help the poor. Oh, poor, you're in pain? Give the IMF and World Bank 90 to 100 trillion. Give George Soros 5 trillion to fix Ukraine when they spent 5 billion U.S. taxpayer money to overthrow it. See, they break it, then they want more money to fix it. Soros a month ago